What's poppin', beautiful people in YouTube land? Put the 3 and G Valley, you feel me? And this vid right here is gonna take me back to my childhood. Cartoon Network, the Rise and Fall and Rise Again. Like, legit, ain't nothing like late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network. Matter of fact, ain't nothing like any cartoon in the late 90s, early 2000s, because they was going at it. Nickelodeon was going at it with Cartoon Network. Disney had they own joints. Then you got Saturday morning cartoons. They was going at it. So it was a great time be a kid in them times. I mean, granted too. Oh, that's why I say Rise Again, because Cartoon Network had like a little resurgence in like the 2009s, 2011. Feel me? Because they had like Flapjack and Adventure Time and all that. But let's see what homie got to talk about. It sound like this is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
I am excited to talk about Cartoon Network because this is something that I started watching over 20 years ago. When I was younger, I would watch Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, and that was it.
Changing the channels back and forth.
Either. The TV in my room actually had this weird setting where you could program it to skip channels when hitting the channel up and channel down buttons. I imagine it was intended to skip the ones that had a bad signal or were in a different language or something, but I used it to eliminate every channel except those three. For years, I don't think a day went by where I didn't watch at least an hour or two of Cartoon Network. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I started watching.
Hey, my son Johnny Bravo, do the monkey with me. So my son Johnny Bravo, bro, really was a show about a nigga trying to bag shorties, bro. Really, son, that was the whole premise of the show. That's crazy.
The channel does go back to 1992. It was the end result
of some unconventional
innovative thinking, all involving Ted Turner. And if you're not familiar with Ted Turner, he was a big part of shaping the cable television industry into what it is.
This nigga bought everything, bro. This nigga was like, you know what? Cartoons, give me that. Wrestling, give me that. Wait. What y'all doing with this? Baseball, give me that. Hey, let me double dab on some basketball. Ted Turner.
Today,
the
channel
OG.
TNT stands for Turner Network Television. The channel TBS stands for Turner Broadcasting System. Well, in 1980, he started CNN at the first
you forgot the Turner
dedicated
Classic
to 24-hour news coverage. It was a pioneering new idea that helped prove the sustainability of a non-stop, single-focused channel.
I didn't even know he owned that.
In 1992, he set out to try it again, but this time instead of a news network, it would be a cartoon network. The reason he chose to focus on cartoons is because over the past few years, he had acquired the rights to a tremendous amount of them. The owners of all these classic cartoons kept buying and selling them, so it gets a little tricky to follow, but they were slowly consolidating.
So did he buy out Hanna-Barbera, or is like just like a partnership going on? Cause all they joints be on Cartoon Network.
Together.
Even to this day.
In 1956, Warner Brothers sold the rights to all of their Looney Tunes cartoons that were created before 1948. You know, all of the ones featuring Bugs Bunny and the gang. And then 2 years later, United Artists bought that company. Then in 1981, MGM bought United Artists. With that deal, MGM now owned all of the pre-1948 Looney Tunes, which were added to their existing library of MGM cartoons. It gets trickier because 5 years later, Ted Turner purchased all of MGM, the studio and the archives. A few months later,
Conglomerate.
sold it right back, but held on to the archives. His main motivation behind all of this in the first place was likely to get the rights of all the MGM and UA movies that he could show on his other networks, but the cartoons came with it. Then in 1991, he added to that already strong collection.
No, he had to buy that. He had to buy Hanna-Barbera, bro. That's on everything. Then when they did the what's that channel? Boomerang. Bruh, to this day, man, I had asked my niece the other day, cause she be watching that channel sometimes. Like, have you ever seen the you got a gorilla for sale, my gorilla for sale? That's my shit. You got a gorilla for sale, my gorilla for sale. Yeah, it was just fire to be like a little commercial music video.
So the result of all these deals was Ted Turner possessing the rights to an unheard of library of cartoons. It included all of the Looney Tunes made before 1948. Tom and Jerry, Popeye made his way into there. With Hanna-Barbera, he added the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, among many others.
Yo-Yo, Doogie, Boo Boo.
the Warner Brothers pre-50 cartoons.
Can you imagine owning so many cartoons that you actually forgot that you owned all of the early Looney Tunes? My gosh, the collection was estimated
I forgot
to be
mad
approaching
shit.
9,000 hours. And as if that wasn't enough, in 1996, Turner Broadcasting itself was bought by Time Warner, who is still the owner of the post-1948 Warner cartoons, meaning that full cartoon library was brought together for the first time in about 40 years. But
Wow.
going back to 1992, Ted Turner owned all of these cartoons and created the perfect outlet for them on October 1st when he launched the Cartoon Network. I really like this. The first thing that they showed was Droopy, a character that they had acquired from the MGM library, welcoming us to the network and guiding us around.
Welcome to the world's first and only Cartoon Network.
It was then followed by an
Fire.
old Bugs Bunny cartoon that they had acquired from the Warner Brothers library, and is it hard to see why they were successful? In addition to the collection of cartoons, creative
Smart.
structuring, and the innovative 24-hour format, the Cartoon Network was also propelled forward using Ted Turner's other channels, specifically TNT. They would get grouped together into the cable packages people would buy. The two are commonly marketed together, and they would even overlap the channels by sometimes literally switching TNT into the Cartoon Network. In the beginning,
I remember
the
that.
programming that they showed was all unoriginal from these previous libraries, but after only a few years, they started producing original content. I would consider it
All
a
the young
Star
niggas coming out of
Wars
college.
Nazi show followed by Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I mean, taking a former Hanna-Barbera superhero and having him host a fictional
That was
late-night
fire.
talk show is an original.
I remember I used to watch this like, yo, I know I ain't really supposed to be watching this at nighttime. And then they had put it on Adult Swim, and I'm like, oh, I definitely wasn't supposed to be watching this when I was even younger. I was still young, but I was even younger. I mean, I was young thinking like, damn, when I was young, I was supposed to watch this. Like,
Idea that you have to respect, but it wasn't a huge investment and didn't have a huge impact on the channel overall. Easily, the show that was most responsible for transforming Cartoon Network into the channel that we all know was What a Cartoon.
oh yeah, that's
A
the
series of shorts
promoted
made by different
mad
creators that led to the
cartoons,
creation of
courage.
Some of Cartoon Network's most iconic shows. Oddly enough, they even aired an early, much cleaner predecessor of Family Guy. But what I'm talking about here is Johnny
That's
Bravo,
crazy.
Cow and Chicken, Courage the Cowardly Dog, the Powerpuff Girls, and my personal favorite, Dexter's Laboratory. You know, while I'm talking about these cartoons, here's something that I just learned that blew my mind. In the show The Powerpuff Girls, you know that narrator?
City of Townsville.
That is Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob and a ton of other things, including the mayor on the
Oh,
Powerpuff
I
Girls.
never knew that.
Surprising, but
And my son put me on, bro. I did not know that. That's crazy.
back to the network. For
That's
me,
a talented
the heart of
ass
the
voice.
network will forever be Cartoon Fridays. That was the night Double D
yeah.
would host a
One,
night
two,
of
three.
cartoons. I know I'm saying cartoon a lot right now, but this cartoons era was when the network jumped in popularity, growing by as much as 30% a year. Now
I remember that every Friday night, bro. I used to be at my friend Stack's crib. We used to be watching all the cartoons, bro. Playing with the toys. Like, then after it finish, we supposed to be asleep, right? Nope. We go start playing video games, wrestling, all that. Like, you feel me? Like, yo,
over
it
8
was great to be a
million
kid back in the day,
More
man.
importantly, it's where they found their identity. This is when Cartoon Network
That's
became something
history
more
right
than
there.
just a place to show old cartoons. It became something original. So, somewhat ironically, as the cartoons were becoming the new focus of the channel, they started phasing out their older cartoons that they had spent so much money to obtain.
Then they made Boomerang.
The original motivation to start the network. In the year 2000,
Yeah,
they started a new network called
Boomerang.
They would air all of these classic cartoons, 24 hours a day, essentially making it very similar to the original vision of Cartoon Network. In 2000,
And you know what's even funny? Oh, I was about to bring it back up, but you know what's even funnier about this whole situation? Because on Boomerang now, they be showing like Dexter's Laboratory, the old Powerpuff Girls, all that. So like, it's crazy how shit just like time just go by. Where that's a classic now, bro. Like, and Adult Swim, yeah, they made all their money when they did that. Adult Swim, that was smart. Made the adult cartoons at nighttime. You know, kids gonna be asleep, but asleep, nigga. I was watching all them shits, bro. I was watching Cowboy Bebop, fucking what was that shit where it was like a coach? It was like terrible ass crappy animation. It was a coach, and then the kids went to the school or whatever. I forgot what was that called, but
they started Adult
Aqua
Swim,
Teen
which
Hunger
as a
Force.
10-year-old I would absolutely hate. Every Sunday night, they would air this thing.
All kids out of the pool for Adult Swim.
I am still conditioned to dislike that sound because it meant that the cartoons were done for the day and it was essentially time to go to bed. I didn't watch them at the time, but they did air many successful shows.
Nigga, bruh, you crazy. I mean, I was a kid at the time too. I was like, sleep. Time for second batch of cartoons, yeah.
And later on, even played a
Yeah,
big
the
part in
film.
bringing back
Yeah.
shows like
Futurama.
and Family Guy. All right.
Yeah,
I wanna
Futurama
talk
was
about some
dead till they started bringing it
potential
back
falls
on
and
there.
rises, but it gets tricky because with a creative network like this, how do you possibly quantify these fluctuations or even prove that they exist? As far as I can tell, even the viewers are divided. Firsthand, on this channel, I see comments talking about how they fell and came back, and just some praising the network. It's hard to know what to make of it, but it appears that the general perception is that they started to fall soon after that cartoon era in the mid-2000s reached an all-time low toward the end of that decade and started somewhat of a renaissance around 2010.
That's when the new
You may
cartoons
disagree
came
with
out.
that, but
Nah, I
think
agree with
that's
that.
how most people see it, and that timeline
I
does
agree with
make
that.
sense. When searching for reasons
I was saying
behind the
earlier,
fall, sure, that's some
2010s is when,
changes
like,
around that time.
Flapjack and
How
all them
about
joints
the
came.
2000 merger between Time Warner and AOL. It was actually the biggest merger ever and a complete disaster. So
This is what fucked up WCW, bro. I was tight when WCW plummeted, bro. I mean, it was getting trash, but
many ways that this could have affected the network. They changed up Hanna-Barbera Productions, for example, but the big one I'm looking at here is the resignation of Betty Cohen. She was the president of Cartoon Network going back to the beginning 9 years earlier, and it was under her control where all of these legendary shows were introduced, and the network first found that identity. In 2001, AOL offered her a job that I believe involved creating content for teens on their internet platform, so she left Cartoon Network. She was replaced
she probably started that whole AIM. Because around that time, with 2004, 2005, is when AIM was popping. When the Psychic,
Jim Samples.
that definitely was
Made some
targeted to
changes.
teens.
Not necessarily bad changes, but things were different. That leads me to my next reason, rebranding. By 2004, they had stopped using the name Cartoon and changed their logo for the first time ever. They kind of isolated the CN from the checkerboard and put them together. It's hard to say if it was better or worse, but it was different, and it was followed by a few other branding changes in the upcoming years.
I didn't understand
Also
that.
during this time, when all of
With
those
the
original
colorful
cartoon
people running
series
around?
were coming to an end. I should say that they were replaced with some hit shows created under the new leadership. The Grim Adventures.
Yeah, no, shit. Kodak Kids Next Door. Yeah, this is my shit too.
Gosh, the titles really got longer. Again, I'm not here to review the shows and say what was good and what was bad, but they weren't the originals, and because of that, I imagine many of the people, including myself, didn't make that transition and respond to them in the same way.
Nah, bro, what? Those was good, bro. Kids Next Door, bro. That was my shit, bro. I thought I was part of Kids Next Door, son. I was number 78. Feel me? Like, it was
By
crazy,
2009,
bro.
all of those shows were done as well, along with
Ed, Edd n Eddy.
and that was what many considered to be their lowest point. Another reason for their decline is all of this live action
Oh,
stuff.
that's when
In
it.
2009, they introduced
That's when I stopped watching it. When they did the live action joints, when they was trying to come at Disney, because remember Disney was the only channel besides Nick. Nick was doing it too, but Disney was doing all them live. They was just trying to compete with both of those channels, bro, and it wasn't working.
CN Real. It was a programming block filled with all of these live-action reality shows. Their competitors like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel had live-action shows, so I guess that this was their attempt to tap into that audience, but it didn't go well. The shows received poor reviews, and even if the shows were decent enough, I don't think the audience would have responded very well to them. When they decided to call the channel Cartoon Network, I'd say that pretty much cut out any potential for live-action shows. It's an easy criticism to say that Cartoon Network should stick to cartoons. So if you combine all of these reasons, we can see that by 2009, Cartoon Network was looking much different. Many would argue they were looking much worse. But I say that was their lowest point because in 2010, they started making some major changes. They canceled CN Real, introduced yet another logo, and I'd say most importantly, they started introducing some well-received shows. I'm talking about the regular show.
Regular
premiering in
show.
2010, Adventure Time, premiering
Yeah.
that same year. The Amazing
You know, it's a crazy thing, bro. I started watching because around this time I was a full blown adult. Legit watching Adventure Time smack, bro. that shit was lit, bro. For the first time, I was like, yo, my man was watching. Yeah, we switching the channels and shit. Watching that shit, I was like, yo, this that shit my nephew be watching. I was like, oh, alright, bro. Like on shrooms, shit's even more, bro. Just try it.
World of Gumball the following year, and Steven Universe and Teen Titans Go 2 years later. They may have overdone it with Teen Titans Go, but many would agree that lineup.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go was,
it really seems that
it's not as bad as people say.
Decade, Cartoon Network starts reinventing themselves. I say that now because most of those shows have ended over the past few years, and Time Warner was acquired by AT&T over that time, which will likely lead to more changes. So it's hard to say what Cartoon Network will look like over the next decade, but I bet it will be different. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about Cartoon Network over the years? As I said, those Cartoon Fridays were the peak.
Just hit different.
So what would you consider to be their best era? Maybe you were a fan of Dude, What Would Happen back in 2000.
Oh, hell no, I don't even know what that is.
But it's possible. You know, I've had so much fun talking about all of these old Cartoon Network shows, and if you watched them back then like I did, I have to ask you this. Do you remember this commercial where Fred is looking for a parking spot? I definitely remember that. This thing excessively because I still have that thing memorized. All right, so any thoughts you have about Cartoon Network or the cartoons on the network, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Can no leader go undated?
Nah, but bro, definitely the golden years. I would say I'll even push it towards like he said, yeah, to like 05, 06. That's like probably like the end of Kids Next Door reign. Yeah, mid 2000s and on, like to 2010, 2006 to 2010. Trash. Feel me? But then they brought it back up when the regular show, all that, like that shit made it fire too. Now I don't even know like what's on Cartoon Network. So, but yeah, bro, it's just making me want to watch mad old Cartoon Network. Like, I definitely want to watch Johnny Bravo right now, bro. Do the monkey with me. You feel me? That was my guy. Or That's a Laboratory. Did. But it's your boy G. I'm out of here. Peace.